for seeing the photo of the rock stack from you. Yeah. I love the wildflowers on the rocks. Just the faintest little scrap of dirt, and they find it.
And produce a beautiful, colorful flower.
My computer is going to be like glowing with the heat of processing all this 360 video, stitching it all together. So this is the famous stack, right? Like this is the big one. Doesn't go through. Too shallow to get through. Oops. And they're up. Yeah, I mean you're upright. You're standing.
And my skin. I think that's a rope skag. I probably would have kept it. I keep remembering to put it up every time I go into the shallow, and then every time I land, it was like skag. Skag.
All right, it's just me now. End of an era. So I'm just outside the town of Gay, Michigan. But anyway, this was a very important town for copper mining, and they would bring copper ore here and they would crush it into a powder, and then they could extract the copper from it that way. But then back in the day there were no environmental regulations, and they would basically just dump the sand out of a sluice box onto the beach. And so this whole area for like a few miles is just this old sand from the mining industry. And according to Mike, I was just talking to, it's migrating due to the wind and the currents and everything. So it's moving down the beach, it just keeps stretching out, and it's getting closer and closer to really important fishing, fish hatching areas, fish mating grounds, spawning grounds. So there's some movement to clean up the beach, remove some of the sand, maybe like process it again to get more of the materials out of it, more copper, more heavy metals. It's just, the scale of it is astonishing. I've been paddling along it for like 10 minutes. It goes all the way back to the trees. And it was all put here from the mines. It's amazing. Heartbreaking, but amazing. Good evening, everybody. I'm at a township park, Schoolcraft Township Park to be precise, and I only heard about this place this morning, and I'm really glad I did because it's really nice and there's hardly anybody here. And yeah, it's just this little municipal campground right on the water, so I could just drag up, and I found a site and there's no one around me. It's a fantastic spot. Yeah, it's a pretty nice evening. Breeze is dying down, it's still nice and warm. Be able to get everything dry. Like even last night, the dew came down pretty heavy on the tent again. And then you have just the normal day-to-day moistness of traveling by water. So I'm sure some people probably spotted I have just a lot of paper laying around, and so those are actually laminated charts. So these are actually Danielle's charts, and I'm borrowing them for the trip. And I had them, a lot of them on my deck today, so they're all wet. But what I usually do, and what I have here, so you can print off individual sections of nautical charts. And so like here's the one we had for turn the lid. So here's the one we had for yesterday, coming off of Manitou Island and ending up at Montreal. And I was able to use that today as well. And then here's the one that I'll be using for tomorrow mostly. And it's just a big, pretty inexpensive giant Ziploc bag basically. And so as I go along, every day or two, I can just shuffle out whatever chart I need. So I always have the area all around me on my deck. A lot of people use GPS exclusively, but GPS is run on batteries, and I already have enough battery things with all my cameras. And I'm very much a map and compass guy. I like to be able to draw lines and make notes, and maps don't run out of batteries. That's really the big thing. Today was an interesting day. Danielle was not doing the best with her back, so she was kind of hurting a bit, but we only had a short, slow paddle into Bec Gris. She got picked up, and I hope she heals up quickly. She's been doing really good these last 4 or 5 days. And it's sad to see a friend that struggles with, living with pain like this. This is kind of a big test for her to see how well she did, which seemed like pretty well. It might have just been 1 day too long. So, Danielle, I wish you a speedy recovery. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. Back to that solo life for me. But today was a really interesting day because after I left there, I just made it around Point Isabel, and a guy caught up with me on a surf ski that we saw parked out at the bay, and his name was Mike, and he paddled with me all the way down till I stopped at Gay, and we had lunch and had awesome conversations. He'd been to Greenland before and traveled all over. He paddled with Freya Hoffmeister and a bunch of other big adventures, so it was cool to meet him and hang out with him. It's interesting. He is the second person so far I've met that has circumnavigated Lake Superior on this trip. First was Frank. Y'all remember
Necessary.
Frank?
In Lake Superior, you must have this on the South Shore.
And yeah, now Mike. And so I wonder who else I'll meet along this trip. People always think that trips like this are made by the scenery and the adventure and being away from it all. And yeah, that's a big part of it, but the real like connection that you make with people along the way just makes it so special and gives you memories that'll last you a lifetime. So yeah, it's seems like every 3 or 4 or 5 days I come across another circumnavigator. Another 3, 4, 5 days I might be in Marquette, so we'll see who I run into there. Or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But no. So you got that trip to Roatan, that frickin' rock stack.
Is this the photo I used?
I think so, yeah. I remember that. It was like, oh, I got this cool one here. And then Danielle's like, skin on frame, rock stack. And also you have more family and friends than I do, so